Well, good evening, friends. I'll say it for the second time tonight, Michael Francis. It's better late than never.
never.
I want to appreciate you. Thank you for joining us for this edition of our first of many SHN Gridiron shows here on SHN Sports. I'm Rob Pipp alongside my good friend Michael Francis. Michael, we are so blessed here at SHN. So many opportunities this season. We couldn't do this show without our good friends with Georgetown Jewelry. We appreciate Ricky Poe over in the Williamsburg Village Shopping Center in Georgetown, georgetownjewelry.com. And we are live from the Georgetown Jewelry broadcast studio, my friend.
Yes, we are, for the very first time, bringing this particular broadcast out, and looking forward to many more throughout the season on Wednesday nights as you'll be anchoring the SHN Spotlight.
Yeah, we'll have, on Fridays. And just to let folks know, again, thanks for joining us. This show, every week, we're going to preview what's happening here on SHN. We'll talk a little bit about what's happening throughout Central Texas in the high school football world. So this show, because really we're not going to have any high school football besides scrimmages from now until next Wednesday. So this is a preview of a preview show right here in the Georgetown Jewelry studio. So, again, friends, appreciate you being here. We've got a couple of guests that will be on the phone with us tonight. Todd Robison of the Hutto Hippos, who recently joined the SHN Sports Broadcast Network. Todd will be joining us by phone here shortly. We'll also talk to Russell Dowden with Texas Sports Monthly. We'll get their perspectives on some of the high school football going on this season. Todd will talk a little bit about Hutto. Again, excited to have those guys here on the network this season. Michael, I wanted to talk to you first, though, and we'll get into some of those coaching changes. We'll bring on those callers here in about 5 minutes or so. But I wanted to talk to you because you're mainly a Rouse guy. Now, we haven't been able to bring Rouse football here on SHN yet. Hopefully, one day that will happen. You're now working with Travis Banks at Eastview. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Rouse, man. That's your backyard. Those are your people, man.
That is the backyard for me. Less than a mile. Less than 3/4 of a mile from my house, and all of my children went to Rouse High School and graduated there. So this is actually the beginning of the second year that I actually have not had a student in Rouse High School. So the affiliation that Rouse brought with SHN Sports 2 years ago with the baseball program has afforded me the luxury to be able to work with some other football programs around the area. But one of the things that we would like to do eventually with SHN Sports is to include Rouse in the SHN broadcast family.
We would love that. So, Rouse, if you're out there listening, you need a broadcast, call us. We would love that opportunity.
Man, we'd love to sit down and talk with you and get y'all on board and be a part of the SHN program. But Rouse has been successful over the years in football, had a disappointing season last year, and are looking to improve this year over last year's season. They've had some success in the past, and they've made deep runs in the playoffs. Back in 2012, they went to the state semifinals where they faced a very tough Georgetown Eagle football team that went on to play Denton Guyer for the state championship that year.
Yeah, in 2012, I was born and raised here in Georgetown. 2012, I was at Chili's, and I got to admit, I was at Chili's. I wasn't the voice of the Eagles then. I was at Chili's watching it on the big screen, man, and to this day I regret that. I said I should have been there watching in person. But, at that point, I was running an IT business. I wasn't really heavily involved in broadcasting. I was working with another organization in the Austin area, so we were primarily covering Round Rock at that time, and here with SHN back 5 years ago now as we celebrate, my goodness, 5 years, Michael, and you've been with us for 2 of those 5 now.
Right.
And I just got to tell you, man, it goes so fast, and now just really intertwined, of course, born and raised here in Georgetown, but intertwined with the Georgetown community. And Carl Schoening and I had a vision to bring as professional of a broadcast we could to Central Texas. And now just the blessings with SHN, bringing on network partners quite literally from all over the United States now with our good friend Christopher Larson up in North Dakota, another good friend, P.D. Doris, and boy, my mind is gone today. We had so many technical things, but P.D. Doris up in
North Carolina,
Raleigh, North Carolina with Triangle Sports Hub. We brought on Freddie Greer now with the Mahia Sports Network, good friend Mr. Snowden with Malakoff Tiger Sports Network, and then today bringing on North Forney up there near the Dallas area. Right. So, and that's just a handful. Trevor Beard up in Oregon. We're excited to have him. And I told Trevor, I said, man, once I can, maybe get a little stable income on the side, I'll fly up there and come visit him every once in a while. So again, friends, if you're just hopping onto this stream as well and you're wondering, well, what in the world is this? We're the SHN Sports Broadcast Network, a lot of network affiliates, and it's just really our desire to help promote student athletes and to bring sports just into your homes and wherever you may be.
Right.
And you're going to do that with Eastview this year alongside Travis Banks here in Central Texas, man. Tell us about that under new head coach Jared Fekoch.
Really looking forward to being a part of it. Last year I had the wonderful experience of doing the play-by-play for the Gerald Cougars and then the playoffs for the Granger Lions and getting a taste of the football side of things versus the baseball side of things that I've done for the past 8 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so a great experience on that, and moving into the press box with Travis Banks in Georgetown Eastview. What a wonderful program and history just from the Eastview side of things. Most notably, probably the most notable player would be Apollos Hester of some YouTube fame.
Man, he went viral.
Did he not? A few years back in 2014, had an outstanding interview with Time Warner Sports, and that went viral, and went back and looked at some of his video over the years of him playing, and what a talented athlete. And then last year, his brother Zion Hester anchored the running duties for the Patriots, and so the Patriots bring back some good players. Jackson Colson, the quarterback over there, coming off of a 1,900-yard season and 23 touchdowns. So he's looking to improve. He's got an offensive line that is going to bring some good returning experience back to that offense and give him more time to pass the ball. And he's got a wide receiver core that is going to be very tough in district. And so looking forward to the wonderful things that are going on over there. They had a coaching change from Coach Davies to Coach Jared Fekoch, who comes from San Saba, where he took a losing program in his first year in 2017, went 3-7 from an 0-10 2016 team to a 14-1 state semifinalist team in 2018. And Georgetown Eastview took the opportunity when Coach Davies moved into the athletic office to hire Coach Fekoch away from San Saba. But Coach Fekoch moving from San Saba to the Georgetown Independent School District at Eastview High School is not a stranger to the big Class 5A schools.
Exactly.
He came from Weatherford, which is the 6A program, the Weatherford Kangaroos, to San Saba, where he was the offensive coordinator for Weatherford. And so he has some experience at the 6A level, so he's got some of the big classification behind him. Some of the biggest changes that he most notably spoke about was the fact that he only had an 8-coaching staff at San Saba, where he came to Georgetown Eastview, and now he's got 22 coaches that he has to work with on his staff. So he said he was able to hire a few new coaches to bring aboard and solidify his coaching staff. So he's very excited about what's going to happen with Eastview this coming season. So a lot of excitement going on over there. They have a test this Friday. They're going to take on the 6A Leander Lions Friday at AC Bible Stadium in Leander. So Chuck Cracy and the team over at Leander will be there on Friday. So Travis and I both had discussed going over there. So we'll be there Friday.
Awesome, man.
And hopefully able to get together with Chuck, Rick, and them over at Leander. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and we appreciate Eastview, excited about that. And I talked a little bit earlier about Hutto joining the SHN family. I'm proud to welcome on the line now Mr. Todd Robison, the voice of the Hutto Hippos. Todd, can you hear us, man?
Can hear you great, Rob. Can you hear me?
We got you. Well, hey, thanks for staying up late. You know, you're you're not just the voice of the Hippos, but you're also, work for the school district there. And I know you guys are just right off the bat ready to rock and roll here with school. So thanks for joining us, Todd. It's a pleasure to have you on the line, and more importantly, a pleasure to be able to bring some more exposure to these kids at Hutto through your voice on the SHN network, my friend.
Hey, well, we're really excited to be a part of you guys, and hipposports.com. We've been broadcasting on that for a few years, and when I had the opportunity to be a part with you, you and I have seen each other at games in passing, Georgetown Hutto games, and I've always admired what you do. So excited to be a part of what you guys are doing at SHN, and hey, and congratulations to you on your college gig.
Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, we're that was kind of a gig that I was hoping for. I didn't know if it was gonna happen, and I was up in sales training, as I told you, in Dallas, and I got the call. And but the good news is, Todd, everything with SHN continues. We won't miss a beat, and we're excited. You've got such a great coach there in Hutto. We have so many great coaches throughout Central Texas, but your coach there, Coach LeBlanc, talk about him and what he has done with that program. What a phenomenal job from him and his kids.
Well, Brad Laplante he's been with us for about 5 or 6 years. He actually last year was his first year as our head coach. He was offensive coordinator for Steve Van Meter. Of course, Steve Van Meter, Coach Van, came to us. He was legendary at Friendswood down in the Houston area, and one of the probably top 100, 150 winningest coaches in Texas high school football history. He retired out of Friendswood, and then after about a year, decided he really missed it. So we were able to land him in Hutto about 5 or 6 years ago, and then he retired again. But we had a jewel in Brad Laplante on the staff, and it was kind of a no-brainer for our administration to move Brad up to the head coach. And I tell you, we had a team last year that was special. And really, in all honesty, we thought that we could have been playing in Jerry World in December, and got upset in the third round. We were undefeated, 11-0 going into that third round game. We only had played 11 games instead of 12. We'd only played, we played 9 regular season games because we were supposed to play El Paso in one of our early season games, and they were coming here, and it was a forecast of some terrible weather, and they ended up canceling. So anyway, but went 11-0, and then lost really an upset in that third round. But we had a great team. Brad is it's not just the players, and it's not just what we've done on the field, but really Brad, and then it goes back to Coach Van too, just has created a culture in Hutto of winning, and not just winning, but working hard and doing things the right way. And Brad is one of those guys that he does not cut a corner. He is type A as it gets, and our kids really kind of thrive off of that. But yeah, he's just really built a culture here in Hutto.
Well, talk a little bit more. Hutto last year, maybe things didn't really go as planned. This year, though, poised for success. Coach LaPlante, again, really working with the kids here early in this season, and we're going to see the fruits of that come up here in the next week. But talk a little bit, Todd, just about this upcoming season, what we may can expect from the Hippos, and kind of your viewpoint there as the voice of the Hutto Hippos.
Well, Rob, I think, the thing it all starts with first is replacing our quarterback, Chase Griffin, who was one of the most prolific quarterbacks in Texas high school football the last couple of years. Of course, he's out at UCLA right now under Chip Kelly, and we've got to replace Chase. And I tell you, I'm not really concerned about the guy that's stepping in to replace him. Now, he's not going to be Chase; he's going to be different. But Grayson Doggett he's only going to be a sophomore, but Grayson is one of those kids that's grown up all his life in Hutto, and he comes from good Hutto Hippo stock. His oldest brother, Hayden, actually played with my son, Ryan, and graduated back in 2014. Hayden ended up playing football the last couple of years at University of North Texas, and then he had another brother, Jake Doggett, a stud baseball player at Hutto, but even better than that, a stud golfer, a college golfer up at Midwestern. So Grayson comes from he comes from a great Hippo family. He's been around the competition and just the environment of Hutto sports, and he's not going to be fazed by Friday Night Lights. Got a great arm, just a great mind for the game, sees the field well. And again, he's not going to be chased, but I think where we might be a little bit different offensively this year, where we're probably not going to average 50, 52 points a game like we had the last couple of years. We're going to probably do a little bit more on the ground. We've got an outstanding running back by the name of Mekhi Kimball, who is fast, and he can run over people too. And so I think we'll keep it on the ground a little bit more. We're still going to throw it. Got some great receivers. Dejon Harrison, stud receiver, who a few months ago he had actually committed to TCU. He since has backed off of that, but so he's that level of talent. And then Trey Pinelli, who's just a tough kid, one of those kids that can go over the middle or even go deep and make the great catch. But we're not our cupboard's not completely bare offensively, but really, I think the key for this year, besides replacing the quarterback, is going to be our defense. That's really going to be the strength of our team. We've got some kids. Landon Watson, he's only a junior, and the kid's probably recruited by every school in the country, but just a couple of weeks ago committed to LSU. So as a junior, he's already committed to LSU. He plays defensive end, and he's a game changer and a home wrecker back there in the offensive backfield when he gets back there. Brock Boyno, defensive back, he's a senior. He's one of those guys that's been playing with us for forever. It seems like dad was a former football coach in Hutto, so he just comes from a great football mind, great football family. Kid named Lordsville, which is a great name, and a kid that lives up to that name too, by the way. Lordsville, he's a defensive tackle, just another just huge kid on our defensive line, and Kendall Williams, a linebacker. So I think our defense is one of those that, while our offense isn't going to be as prolific, our defense should be the kind of unit that keeps us in every single game and gives our offense a chance. And we're returning 7 or 8 starters from last year's defense. And I think it was Rick Cantu was mentioning in an article a couple of days ago that he said something about Hutto's defense has to be better. They gave up 20-something points a game. Like, well, yeah, that's a little misleading. When you play in a high-profile offense and you're scoring all the time, defense is on the field a little bit more. There's a little more possessions in the game when you run that spread offense and you're scoring fast. So I think our defense is going to be pretty special. And then our offense, give them a few weeks, and we should be clicking by middle of the year.
Awesome. Well, Todd, we appreciate you. Looking forward to the upcoming season. I was just talking to Michael. He knows that young man. Michael.
Yeah, Lord's will. My wife and I taught him in Sunday school back when he was a little boy. So to see him grow up
awesome.
and be the wonderful young man that he's become is really awesome to see.
Well, Todd, before we let you go, go ahead and finish that thought, and then just any final thoughts you may have, Todd. We appreciate you.
Well, I was just going to say, Lordsville is one of those that hopefully throughout the season at some point we might have him on our coaches show. We do a coaches show every Monday night with Brad, and we try to have some players occasionally. But Lordsville's got a great story. Michael probably knows that story, but we'll try to tell that story throughout the year of where he came from and just how he landed here. But a mom that's just just a treasure. And but Lordsville is one of those just kids you want the younger kids to look up to. So, but yeah, final thoughts is, man, we're excited about the season. We have scrimmage Friday night against Vista Ridge, so that'll tell us a little bit. I was actually out there this morning watching practice, and I made the comment that our offense going against our defense, they might not see a defense as good as our defense all year. So they're getting tested every day in practice, and they'll be ready. We're obviously same old, I think, cast of characters in our district. Cedar Park, of course, which we knocked them off last year finally and stole that crown from them. And, of course, Georgetown. We always got that little rivalry right up the road with those guys. But, I think we'll be in the mix, and we're excited about what this season holds.
Awesome. Well, Todd, we appreciate you again and what you'll be doing at Hutto this season and looking forward to it, man. I think I said LeBlanc a while ago. I was talking to a LeBlanc on the phone, and I knew it was Brad Laplante, so I hope you didn't catch that. But we appreciate you, Todd, and Coach there, and looking forward to a great season. And I did want to point out, I got to plug it, you guys are taking advantage of the broadcast in a box this year, so hopefully that'll make that broadcast really easy for you, buddy.
Hey, I'm excited about that. You and I have kind of been through the little setup of it, and it's a whole lot easier than what we were setting up before.
Well, I tell you, I used the broadcast in a box, Todd, through the baseball season, and it was a big plus and a big help. Shortened breakdown time, shortened setup time. You were able to get up and go, get things going, and no stress. So
yeah, we're excited about that.
It was a great tool. I was thankful to have it.
Well, Todd, we'll let you get some rest. I know that you got a busy day tomorrow with school and all that fun stuff. You don't get to just play the voice of the Hippos. You got to work too, man. So we'll let you go.
Voice of the Hutto Independent School District. I'm communications director, so it's nonstop.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate you. Thanks again, Todd. Thanks for staying up with us as well. And we will talk to you soon, my friend. Have a good night.
All right, guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Well, that was Todd Robison again from the Hutto Hippos. Just a great man there. We're bringing on other network partners this year as well here on SHN. Cedar Creek, our good friend Scotty Martin with the Cedar Creek Eagles. So we're going to have the Battle of the Birds here on SHN.
Yeah, that's going to be
with
really
Georgetown
good.
Eagles and Cedar Creek. But as we look, a lot of teams here, Michael, that we'll be talking about throughout this season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. SHN, as it grows, expanding, bringing on other broadcast partners to be a part of the SHN network. So, great things are happening. And to get these teams that, a lot of people see as rivals along the way, but when you bring them on as a broadcast partner, and the SHN philosophy of what we want to do to give high school student athletes the exposure that they deserve just fits in. And as SHN, we call each other family, and they become a part of the SHN family. And there's no rivalry there. We're all working together to bring the best that we can for high school student athletes.
And we've been working hard for that. And speaking of which, developing relationships with a lot of great folks here throughout the area. Our good friend Sean Clinch, who was formerly at KVU, Mike Barnes at KVU Television. Both of them, of course, no longer there now, but we developed great friendship with those guys. De La Pena over at Fox 7, who has been helping us whenever we come in contact with him. Don't talk to him a whole lot, but when we see him, just those guys and the Austin media has been so integral in what we are doing here at SHN. And we definitely couldn't not mention Snoop Daniel, Casey Johns, and all the fine folks over at FanStan. My goodness, with those videos they put out every week, you definitely want to continue to support, and we will always continue to support Snoop and those guys over at FanStan and the work that they do.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Everything that they've been doing, and I've been following those guys since their inception when they started broadcasting FanStan. And what you talk about, a phenomenal product that they put out to give student athletes the exposure. I have friends and family that are up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that I have shared those videos with through social media, and they're like, wow, I wish we had something like this for our athletes here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, well, it's going to continue to expand. We'll keep continuing our partnership with the fine folks at FanStan. Now on the line, someone that we have a very good friendship and relationship with, our good friend, Mr. Russell Dowden of Texas Sports Monthly. Russell, do we got you on the line?
Yes, I'm here, Rob. How you doing?
Hey, good, man. It's 9:42. I didn't want to, I know that you go to bed. I think you go to bed at 6:30 every night. Is that right, Russell?
Yeah, right. Maybe a little later, maybe about 12:30, Rob.
Well, man, I got to tell you, you and I developed a friendship several years ago at the Texas High School Coaches Association conference. I believe it was the one in San Antonio. I got to know you, your personality, what you do, the work that you do with Texas Sports Monthly and your publication is just unparalleled. Talk a little bit about that publication first and really the work that you've been doing over the years, Russell.
Well, in fact, Rob, we did meet at the coaches convention a few years ago, but it was the one in Houston.
Houston, okay.
Yeah, no, we've been doing Texas Sports Monthly here for the last 3 or 4 years. This is our 4th year. I actually started it several years ago. We got it off the ground for 1 or 2 months in 2010, and I abandoned it and kept doing another publication I was working on at the time. But we're now in our 4th year, and I've been in the publishing business a long time, Rob. But I've always been a sports guy and had a lot of fun with sports, and that kind of goes back to some of my broadcasting experience in the back of the days. But we're just having fun doing this, covering high school football. We cover college ball. We cover the NFL and the Texas team. So if it's a Texas sport related to anything going on here in the great state of Texas, we try to cover that. Anything from, Formula One to Texas Longhorn volleyball to, obviously high school football here in Central Texas. But a lot of fun. You can pick those up at HEB or Randall's in any of those here in Central Texas. And just a lot of fun. We're glad to be part of the SHN family and knowing you guys over there. And like you guys were touching on a little while ago, a lot of us are all, the media here in town to just kind of try to support each other.
Absolutely. Well, your publication, and you say it, I got to mention this, Russell. Your publication, this isn't small potatoes, friends. This publication, you walk into HEB, you walk into numerous merchants all over Central Texas, and right there on the stand is Texas Sports Monthly. That is very impressive, my friend, to be right up there with the big dogs.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting this year. This is our 4th year, Rob, and so we were tabloid in the first couple of years. We're rather large. I had a different printer up in Killeen, and now we kind of are partnered with a new printer in Dallas with our friends at Midway Press. And this new product, Rob, is going to be a 60-pound gloss product. So this season we've kind of gotten into the gloss covers the last few magazines here, and then we went back to the print for baseball. But as we get here into football season, the entire magazine is going to be glossy. So we're real excited over here because it's actually a high stone for us to go full gloss all the way through the magazine. And so we're kind of excited. That's a kind of a limestone for us to get to that full gloss level. And it's our 4th year. We got the radio show, the Friday Night Countdown we do on the Horn. This year's just going to be really a huge year for us. And thanks for the kind words about the publication. We're just really excited it's been growing.
Well, absolutely, man. I've kept up with the great work that you're doing. Now, I do have to mention this, Russell, because you're talking about you guys are going to be on the Horn, I believe, on Friday nights. Talk a little bit about that show a little bit more, how folks can tune in, and then I want to talk about one other thing as well.
Sure. We were gonna do a Thursday show, but it looks like our main show, and we're just gonna do the main show on Fridays as of this week. So, the Friday Night Countdown. Last year were on another station on the AM dial. This year we're very excited to be on Horn FM. The Horn's obviously the Longhorn flagship here in Austin on 104.9, and our show Friday Night Countdown covers high school football. We will be doing that from 6:30 to 7:15 p.m. right while folks are going to the stadiums, Rob. So the show airs right before the Lake Travis Cavs games and in front of the Vandergrift Vipers and the Bowie Bulldogs. Those 3 teams are broadcast on that trio of stations that the Austin Radio Network runs for sports here in town. And so our show is actually tri-casted on all 3 stations before those 3 broadcasts. So we'll go around the Horn, talk about each district, and preview the games every Friday for 17 weeks and kind of give the listeners a preview as we break down, some of our predictions and have coaches interviews and player profiles. It'll be a lot of fun. And, it's probably the show to hear on your way to a game if you're in the Austin area trying to kind of tune into what some of the great action that's on the radio and internet nowadays here in Austin. So it'll be a lot of fun. We're very excited to be on the Horn.
Awesome, man. Well, can't wait to be part of that show. And, of course, we'll promote you. We're going to have our 6-hour show here, live video on YouTube every Friday from 6 p.m. to midnight, but we will definitely plug you from time to time because of the excellent work that you do, Russell, our friendship, and more importantly, what you do for the kids here in Central Texas. You know, you were talking about you cover college and professional sports, but you do cover a lot of the kids, and that is something that is so important, man, that you guys do a great job. I do want to ask you this. Your history doesn't just stick with sports, though. You used to have a little midnight spooky show on the radio. Talk about that, man.
That's very true. You know, it's funny. I've been in radio for 22 years, and I used to host a weird radio many years ago, and I kind of got into. I published Weird magazine from 2002 to 2012, and I sold that to another infamous radio broadcast guy from Austin and started his magazine in the a few years ago there. But yes, I dabbled into some kind of late night paranormal talk radio once upon a time.
That is awesome.
I was also a country DJ in radio. I was the Cosmic Cowboy on FM 100 KTEX in Harlingen, Texas, where I was the overnight jock for a while, and then they cut my teeth into getting a day shift. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing, the talk radio, and we've dabbled in play-by-play stuff. In 01, 02, I was doing some play-by-play for the Austin, which is what you do now, the AISD Game of the Week. I was doing that same gig on Friday nights, though, over there for them and calling those games at House Park. But yeah, I've been all around the horn on media and radio. It's a fun gig.
Well, I'm going to have to update your, if we get you another SHN credential, we'll put the Cosmic Cowboy on there for you, man. How does that sound? But you got to wear a hat, though, man. Will you do that for us?
Yeah, I'll wear a big sombrero, man. How about that?
The old Cosmic Cowboy. Well, hey, man. Well, let me ask you this, Russell. While we got you on the line, I definitely want to get your thoughts. The upcoming high school football season, I know that's a broad subject or a broad topic that we can talk all night about, but just quickly, your thoughts on the upcoming season. What are you looking forward to the most, and what are you excited about from these kids this season?
Well, everybody just watching these kids the last few years. This is our fourth season of covering high school football in a row. I mean, I'm no stranger to it, but I've jumped back into it in the last few years. So, this year you're getting to see a lot of the younger kids that we followed over the last few years stepping up. And, I'm just excited to just be talking about it again. I mean, there's a lot of entry teams. That Glenn team out there in Leander is real exciting to watch. And, a lot of guys are thinking they may win that district again out there. From talking on the Longhorns to, the high school stuff. I mean, Coach Hutto's head coach, Brad Laplante, got a really good team. Who's going to win that district, Rob, out of Cedar? Is Cedar Park going to dethrone Coach Laplante and the Hutto Hippos over there across the toll road this year? That's a very exciting district to see those two battling it out as they often do. And then you got that wild division over there with those the Battle of the Lakes. A lot of guys think Westlake's still going to have the Cavs number this year with the returning letterman that they have over there. So, there's a big winning culture there with Hank Carter and the Lake Travis Cavaliers. Those guys are going to bring it every year, and it's just exciting to see some of there's some new coaches there in Georgetown. I understand you guys got a new coach. I haven't spoke with him yet.
Yeah, Coach Chuck Griffin, absolutely going to be fun.
Yeah, so it's just, we're excited just to be, getting back into this and starting to cover these guys. There's a lot of things going on with the Longhorns. There's a lot of talk. Is Texas back? Are they not back? We're going to see really what that looks like on the second week of September when LSU comes to town. So it's just good to be talking about some football, ain't it?
It is, man. And it's so weird because literally, we're here in the Georgetown Jewelry Broadcast Studio now that we built here in Georgetown. And I was just sitting here, Russell, just a few months ago, and I said, man, this would be so cool to turn this building into a studio. And as we were building it, literally, we were the contractors. Man, we don't have money. We did it ourselves. But we're not for hire though. If anybody needs any contract, we're not for hire. The big sign out front.
Not for carpentry.
That's right.
Or studio building.
Not for hire. Not for carpet. Not for carpentry. But the thing is, literally, as Carl came over and helped, and we were working on this, I was just thinking, man, it just seemed so far away, and now we're here, and now it's time for football, man. What an exciting time in Central Texas, man.
Oh, exciting!
Well, really, a lot of good football in Central Texas, guys. There, I talked to some of my colleagues. I know you know Bobby Stotzenberg down there in San Antonio, Carl Thies down there in Houston. I talked to these guys. Pat Kerrigan's a friend of ours, covers a lot of football up in the Waco area. But Central Texas has really got its own. It's got good football. This area here along the 35 corridor competes for championships every year, right? And when there are always one or two teams from Central Texas sticking around that last week of December. And it's just good to see that the Central Texas area coaches and athletes are really pulling their own weight now with those Houston and San Antonios and Dallases of the state.
What's your thoughts, Russell, real quick before we let you go? It seems like there's so many, I guess you could say even metropolitan areas now in the state of Texas, with Austin the way it's growing. And now, of course, Leander building schools. Georgetown, a third high school already in the talks. We may see that here in the next 10 years. All over the Lone Star State, these major metropolitan areas, but you're not seeing some of these big teams right out of the cities proper. You don't see a lot of actually Austin teams or Dallas teams getting in. It's all these the suburb teams. Talk a little bit about that and just the growth and what impact it has on high school football.
Yeah, it's really something to see that happen because, I graduated in 91 in Lanier High School, Rob, and back in, the late 80s, early 90s, man, in that District 25 5A, my old district, those in that time, it was the LBJ versus Lanier. It was Johnston versus Reagan, Reagan Lanier. I mean, you had Austin High and Crockett. These were the power matchups in Austin in those days. And, in the 80s and 90s, that was it. It was just the power 10 or 12 schools there were in town. And, that has changed with the advent of the growth of Austin. You've got, you got Hutto out here, and then look at Lake Travis. And I mean, these Round Rock ISD schools have built some really good programs. Pflugerville too just added that, Weiss school. Weiss has got 22 returning lettermen this year on their senior team. That's only because last year was their first year as juniors, but that team is expanding. You got Lake Travis and all these teams out in the 18s. Leander's grown. It just really that seems to be the weird thing, is that those are the teams that are doing good nowadays. All of the talent and the money for those programs are out in these rural areas of town. There's still good football in South Austin. Mm-hmm. But a lot of that talent is moving along the 130 corridor and 183A corridor, and it's kind of moving out into the suburbs.
Well, Russell, appreciate you chatting with us. Before we let you go, any final thoughts? Again, take an opportunity real quick to plug your show. When can people join that, and where can they pick up your magazine, buddy?
Yeah, just again, thanks, Rob, for the good stuff you guys do there at SHN. You can we look forward to hearing those games on Thursday nights. And my Thursdays will be free, by the way, this fall. So if you need me to do a little color analyst for you guys over at SHN, I did a few games with Carl last year. That was a lot of fun. But, yeah, pick up the magazine at any HEB or Randall's. Some of our advertisers will have them at sports bars in town, like Little Woodrow's and so forth. So, just pick them up mainly when you're doing your grocery shopping this fall. The Longhorns will be on the cover. This actually be out here on the 30th, the first Friday of football. You catch the Friday night countdown on 104.9 The Horn. Fridays from 6:30 to 7:15. We come on right before the Bowie, Vandergrift Vipers and Lake Travis Cavs game. And pick up a copy of the magazine or just check out TexasSportsMonthly.com. And yeah, thank you, Rob, for what you guys do, man. Always a pleasure.
You bet, man. Hey, that Taco Shack Bowl coming up on Thursday, and we don't mean any disrespect to any other media organization, but I really feel like we're going to, as far as the broadcast coverage, going to have some of the most comprehensive coverage. We're going to have 4 camera angles out over there at House Park. And you had mentioned if you're free on Thursday night, man, come to that game. We may put you in a sideline reporting role if you're down for that. I'm actually thinking about we may need a sideline reporter.
Yeah, listen, I'm really interested to do that. I called that game with Carl last year, and it was a lot of fun and really good game too. That game was really exciting, and it's always a great matchup between the McCallum Knights and the Anderson Trojans. So, I may take you up on that and come out there and get my first game of the season. And I am going Friday to see Cedar Park and Westlake are playing a scrimmage game at Kelly Reeves. So I'm going to be checking that out this Friday. But maybe you'll see me on the sideline over there at House Park next Thursday, Rob.
Well, sounds good, Russell. I'll have to chat. And the good news is we won't even charge you to be there, man. We're not even going to charge you. You can just come and just no charge.
No charge. Come on down, Russell. No charge at all.
Well, Russell, again, Texas Sports Monthly. I believe online at TexasSportsMonthly.com also. Is that correct?
That's right.
Awesome. Well, again, Russell Dowden, Texas Sports Monthly, we appreciate you, my friend. Always an honor to have you here and for you to also be a part of the SHN family. Thank you, Russell.
You bet. Thanks, here. Take care and go to bed soon. You're getting past your bedtime, Rob.
That's right. We'll see you, Cosmic Cowboy, all right?
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Well, once again, Russell Dowden of Texas Sports Monthly, wanted to have him here, and I'm sure that we're going to have him back on the show. Just a wealth of knowledge about football. He's been covering so many teams, not only at the high school level, but as you heard, Michael, at the professional level.
Right.
Just some great words from him as well.
Well, it brings back a lot of memories. Remember just a few years ago, District 25 4A was most notably compared as the SEC of the Texas high school football districts when you had the likes of Cedar Park, Rouse, that same year, both of them going deep in the playoffs. Cedar Park eventually winning a state championship out of that district as Lake Travis moved up in classification there at the realignment up to the 5A level at that time. And Cedar Park was always getting caught up against Lake Travis later in the playoff rounds as they came back, and Lake Travis would eventually knock them out of the playoffs, and they couldn't make it to state. They'd make it to the regional quarterfinal or the semifinal and get removed by Lake Travis. And so, some excellent football all around the ATX area. You've got Liberty Hill. There's another perennial football powerhouse, Rockdale.
And in talking about Liberty Hill, not to cut you, they're bound to be 5A soon. That town has grown
so much, and what a wonderful facility that they have over there. They built a new high school and football and baseball stadium over there as well. So great facilities over at Liberty Hill.
And then you talked about Rockdale, just up to our northeast in Milam County. We'll try to bring exposure. I know that we primarily focus on Williamson County, Travis County, but there's schools out there in the Highland Lakes area. It's been a vision of SHN to grow in that area, possibly bringing on Burnett, Llano, or even Fredericksburg, Marble Falls. We play Marble Falls in district play and in times in the past, and so that was always a journey. It felt like we were still driving out to the country here in Georgetown.
Right, and now it's not so far away.
Not so far away, and a beautiful drive it always was. The folks at Marble Falls have always been just superb, just as those in Elgin. And I talk about it so much, I use the word blessed because we really are, Michael, with so many people in the area. Well, on Thursday nights, there's going to be quite a few games that will be happening to start week one. Of course, not this coming up. Of course, not tomorrow, but then following next week, we'll be able to preview a lot of those games. Many Thursday night games happening. Stony Point will be at Killeen. We'll see Eastview. That'll be on the SHN Sports Broadcast Network over at Kelly Reeves playing the Warriors of Westwood. Mm-hmm. And then Pflugerville will be over at Bowie, that at Burger Center. So that game will also be going on Thursday. McCallum, of course, the Taco Shack Bowl. We'll have that one right here on SHN Sports with the most comprehensive coverage. For that game, Brad Tillery will be on the call. And I don't want to toot our own horn, but I will say this about Brad. What a professional. We have been,
absolutely.
Again, so many folks here at SHN, such as you, Michael, and so many across the board. Chuck Crazy, who's on the line, we'll bring him in here in just a minute, but the work he does at Leander, and then Brad's professionalism. So many people across the entire SHN network that we couldn't do what we do without you guys.
Carl
man.
Schoening, who steps in a lot of times when there's a gap and helps out. Last year he did the color for me at a Gerald game in Cameron, and he drove down to Cameron to help me out on that game. And, what an outstanding broadcast that ended up being, with Carl stepping up and helping out in that. And he helped out with Raider Baseball the first year that we partnered with SHN, and I've got the opportunity last year to work with Carl on some AISD games. So, we just got a great family.
We talk about folks like Mickey Holden over at Leander as well. Richard Hensley, who's behind the scenes. Rich said, don't put me on the camera. Don't put my voice on. I'm just going to work behind the scenes. Right. He does an awesome job for the Leander crew. Mark Sickles, and then, of course, Chuck Crazy, who is on the line. We will bring Chuck in now, as Chuck Weiss will be at Leander. The Lions going to be roaring in week 1, and you guys have a new head coach, Christopher Price. Chuck, good to have the voice of the Lions and SHN family member Chuck Crazy on the line. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well, Rob. Thanks for having me tonight. And yes, we do have a brand new coach, and he's not only new to Leander as a head coach, he's new to head coaching. Chris Price, his name, from Keller High School, defensive coordinator, coordinated a couple of defenses to stop the likes of Denton Geyer, slow them well below their average, as well as South Lake Carroll, same district. And so, Leander's been down for a few years. The school district, as you talked about with your last guest, has grown exponentially. And Leander's probably the main high school to suffer the most. And it kind of became an excuse for Leander. Well, the great thing about Chris Price is he comes from a school that had the same situation there in Keller. Mm-hmm. And he turned that defense into a playoff caliber defense against some of the best schools, and especially some of the best offenses in North Texas, really the state of Texas. And so he's coming into a district, though, that has a total of 81 years experience at the schools they're coaching at right now. That's all the other coaches added up. Man. So it's a tough district. You got Vandergrift, had their first undefeated season last year. They're going to be bringing back co-newcomer of the year, Drew Dawson. They also have Trey Mongauzi and a Bowen Lewis at running back. And Cedar Ridge is, of course, returning 30 lettermen, 5 defensive starters, 4 offensive starters. They still get their quarterback, Jalen Brown and Deuce Vaughn. So really, 13-6A first place early on is going to be a battle between those two guys.
Well, Chuck, you've already had an opportunity to talk to Coach Price also, in the preseason, and you've already mentioned just the way he wants to turn things around there at Leander, and that's really the mindset right now of the entire Leander Lion Nation. Has said, look, we have got the talent. Let's get these kids rocking and rolling, man.
It is amazing. The numbers in the football program jumped as well. We've got scores more kids than we would have had in past years, and they're showing up to the summer workouts. They're here at the two-a-days. Everybody seems committed. We've got some really talented players. There's been a bit of shuffling of positions, but we're returning 8 defensive starters on a defense that got pretty well shredded on a regular basis, but that has a lot to do with how much they were on the field. And, not to get into too much detail on schematics or anything, but the offense is going to change back to more of an open attack, where last year we were trying to run a modified veer. And it worked. We got a lot of yards, but you couldn't keep up with high-powered offenses. And so that's where Coach Price is going to come in. I'm not going to say anything about the defenses he's going to run. I'm going to let the opponent figure that out on their own. They've
Okay.
already been in contact with Keller High and South Lake Carroll trying to get film just so they can watch the schemes, because Coach Price is the kind of coach that's going to coach to the talent he has in that season. And so he may change the defense to a 4-3 from the 3-4 we were running. He could be running a 5-3. Who knows? So, I mean, I know I've been to a few practices, but it should be fun. He's really evaluated the talent. You know, the thing that I've been the most impressed about is he's been about the business. He's been about going about the business of building a program, and he's just workmanlike at it. And his mood, it doesn't change. He doesn't become angry. He doesn't, get too high. He's real even keeled, and he gets a lot of respect from the coaching staff and the players and the parents, for that matter.
Well, Chuck, let me ask you this. What are you looking forward to most this upcoming season? You've been calling Leander. Man, how many years has it been now? It's been, 4 or 5, if not
Well,
longer?
in some capacity, yeah. I started out doing color, but I believe that was in 2014.
Yeah, so it's
So,
been a while.
maybe 5 years.
Awesome. Well, what are you looking forward to most this year, Chuck? You've been with the team. Your kids have went through the program, and the coaching change, of course. But what else are you looking forward to this season, Chuck?
Well, I'm looking forward to the community of Leander coming back together like it has started to do here under Coach Price. And like I said, you see more parent involvement in the Booster Club. You see more parent involvement, in a variety of other areas as well. Communication with the coaching staff. Everything seems to be running smoothly. It's going to be a situation of a lot of tight ball games for Leander this year. And they could lose a lot of games, but they're going to be a lot closer than they've been regardless. And I really do think they could put 5 wins on the board and go from a 1-win season to at least a 5-win season.
Well, Chuck, you're going to be doing the coaches shows as well again this year, and so talk a little bit about that. Go ahead and plug those shows. How can folks out there in Lion Nation, and it's not just for Lion Nation. If there's folks out there that are interested in Leander, just come on out. I would say that's okay to go ahead and ask that. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I don't have it in front of me, but we've scheduled our weekly coaches show all the way through the regular season at a variety of places. We're using 3 locations. Bush's Chicken on 1431, always a big supporter of high school athletics. We're using Guaco Taco in Leander.
Getting hungry.
Really good place. It's excellent food. And then also Bahama Bucks, which is right across the street from Leander High School, a good hangout for the kids. And so, we're going to use that opportunity to follow the SHN mission of promoting the student athletes. And, we're going to get to meet the coaches too. The Lions, not only do they get a new head coach, they got a few new assistant coaches as well, because generally when a head coach leaves, a few of the assistants will leave with them or, leave because of that. And so we'll get to meet the new defensive coordinator, and we'll get to meet Eric Thomason, the offensive coordinator. And, of course, we'll talk to Coach Price on Monday at Bush's, along with senior linebacker Evan Smith, all-district linebacker for Leander, and Jonathan Kirby, a starting offensive lineman for the Lions. So it should be exciting. I'm excited to get the season started. Everybody at the beginning of football season is undefeated, and it feels pretty good to have a 0 in that loss column. So,
Well, Chuck,
hopefully we'll keep it there for a while.
I got a question for you, Chuck.
Yeah.
So you got the inside connections over there at Leander with Coach Price and with the football program, but even more, you kind of got an insider in a significant defensive lineman named Connor Cracy. What kind of feedback are you getting from Connor?
Well, he's pretty excited, actually, because they moved him. He was an undersized, albeit fairly quick nose tackle as a sophomore for the Lions last season, but they moved him to the 5 technique, and they moved the 3 to the nose, and they found another 3. And they look pretty good. And the offensive line for the Lions has 3 returning starters, and they're big boys, and they're pretty good as well. And so I'm excited about that. The thing that I like the most, though, is watch for a couple of new defensive players' names to show up. One will be a junior Major Maiden. He'll be playing an outside linebacker position. Ray Egglesey and Jake Benugli, those guys there going to be big contributors this season to the Lion defense, along with Connor Cracy and I forgot his name.
Putting you
sorry
on the
about
spot.
that.
Putting
name.
you on the spot. Well, you're a little medicated right now, I understand, Chuck. So
That's true.
I appreciate you
I
calling
did
in.
injure my back, and so I feel like I've actually done better than I thought I would. Real quick, I want to mention a couple of other kids. Watch out for this name, Aiden Parrot. He's going to be one of the contributing sophomores for the Lions, and probably a future quarterback for Leander, if not even getting a chance this season. He's going to be playing behind Garrett Landry at quarterback. And Garrett Landry is a very good athlete, a very good baseball pitcher as well, and that sometimes works out pretty well.
Awesome. Well, Chuck, not only for Leander, you help us out so much here on the SHN Sports Network. You've been with us almost, I would say literally almost since day one. I know that first year, we didn't broadcast, but then that second year, but we've been in communication with you for a long time. I just wanted to personally say thank you for all that you do, for the fine work that you do. And, most of the time when I'm needing a sideline reporter, you're available. You do such great work with Southwestern University. I know that I won't be on those calls this year due to the commitments now at Sam Houston State University, but you'll be there alongside many games with Carl Schoening, my business partner and friend here with SHN, and then Brad as well. So excited, man. Are you going to wear the shades on the sideline again this year? That is the looming question. The Shade Master, Chuck Crazy.
That's the
It
signature
depends
look.
on how sunny it is, obviously.
Well, awesome. Chuck, before we let you go, final thoughts. Excited about this season, man. Excited to have you as part of the family. Your final thoughts, my friend.
Well, like I said, everybody's excited this time of year. Season's getting ready to kick off. We've got a scrimmage against another SHN sports team. I'll be seeing Michael Francis on Friday as Eastview pays a visit to Leander. I look forward to that.
Yeah.
I'll be in the PA booth. We're not actually doing a broadcast, so if any Leander fans out there want to watch it, you can listen to Michael describe the action at SHN Sports.
Well, we won't be broadcasting that. We're just going to be there.
Oh, you're just going to go take some notes? All right.
We'll put it. We'll
I
figure.
thought you were going to do a coverage or something.
Yeah, we'll put a phone on him or something. We'll figure. No, I'm just kidding, Michael.
Just pack him with a camera.
That's right, man.
Broadcast in a phone.
Well, Chuck, excited about this season, of course, with Leander, the changes there, and then, just you and your crew and Rich Hensley, Mark Sickles, Mickey Holden, and Gary Gutierrez.
I couldn't do it without those guys.
Is Gary going to be back with you this season?
He is.
Awesome.
Gary, it's Gary's one chance to get away from the Rugrats. He's got 2 little bitty kids, and so, he gets that one chance to get away and spend a couple hours talking about football. So he'll definitely be with us. And I remember the kid's name. It's Michael Wakama.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole family of Wakamas that have come through Leander. I don't know why I went blank.
He just said, Wakama, you forget my name, Chuck, is what he said. Now you'll never forget.
Yeah, I got it in towards the end. So.
Well, Chuck, final question. I want to put you on the spot here because you help us so much, Chuck. We may see if you would like to be on the volunteer committee. Everybody loves volunteers. The volunteer committee. This year on SHN, and we talked about it at the meeting, and I'm just letting our audience out there this evening know, and Michael, you know about this as well. We are having a Georgetown Jewelry Player of the Week here on SHN. We're going to identify every week a player that is on the SHN network. Originally, we were going to identify just an overall player throughout the entire school system, but we decided, as an incentive for those that are on SHN, we are going to identify an SHN Sports Player of the Week. Now that
Oh,
could
so
even
a network player of the week.
network Player of the Week, and it could be one of the Austin ISD teams as well if they have an outstanding performance. So we're excited about that. Georgetown Jewelry is going to present those awards. Ricky Poe, and man, we're going to be rocking and rolling. But we need a few guys to be on that committee, Chuck. So we may have to have you on it.
Well, I on one condition, if you will also have a player of the week. Wait, never mind. Galen Welnicki will win it every week.
Paw. The Player of the Week.
Yes, definitely. I would do that.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll be in touch. Chuck, thank you for your time, man.
Sure.
Good luck on the recovery, brother. I know you've been having some back pain, so I just pray that all that gets well quick. We'll have to find another volunteer to carry the equipment for you this season, man. So
well, that's one of the many benefits that Rich provides is he even keeps the equipment and cares for it. He loves
That's awesome.
Stuff, so.
And you're actually, before I let you go, you're traveling to Tennessee week 1 with our Southwestern crew. It's you, Nathan, and I think Carl's going. So
yeah,
it'll be
Carl.
Yeah, so
I was beginning to worry a little bit about that earlier in the week, but the medication that the doctor put me on, the steroids, seemed to have gotten the inflammation down. So
well, that's good, man.
I should be
glad you're all
okay.
right, man. Well, Chuck, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for all that you do.
Sure.
Again, Chuck Cracy of the Leander Lions. You can catch him all season long right here on SHN Sports. Thank you, Chuck. Good night,
Go
buddy.
Lions.
God bless you. Yeah, do that again, Chuck. Do it one more time.
Go Lions!
There it is, man. Thank you, Chuck.
Right.
Have a good night, buddy. So that was a Chuck he records a lot of their commercials on SHN for Leander, and there was just one of them, and I don't know if he realized it, but at the end of it, he goes, "Go Lions!" And I said, "Chuck, keep doing that." And actually, it's awesome, and so now he does it all the time. So.
Right.
Well, Michael, we did have a viewer before we sign off here in just a few moments. It's 10:19. We're going to try to keep these shows at an hour. I know that we haven't really talked a whole lot of area-wide football, but we have talked a little bit about quite a few teams here in the Austin proper area. As this show continues every week, we'll have a lot more to talk about. We'll be recapping some games, looking ahead to games. So don't miss the show next Wednesday. That's going to be the big one where we will really talk about here's what's going on SHN this week, and here's what's going on throughout Central Texas. We did have a listener or a viewer that messaged us, Larry Reynolds, wanting to know how Cedar Park is going to do this year. Last year it wasn't really a typical Carl Absek season for the Cedar Park Timberwolves. I believe only 8 wins, 4 losses. They're hungry to turn things around here, Michael, in this 2019 campaign.
You talk about a storied program. Cedar Park is a storied program. Perennially they're picked to win the district that they're in. They're just that good. They just keep coming up with just outstanding players, and they have over the years. And Dave Campbell's Texas football has them winning the district this year, followed by Hutto, Manor, and Georgetown. So and you talk about 4 outstanding programs right there just in the mix in those top 4, and they're going to be fighting for that top district position. So Cedar Park is going to come loaded, and they've got a lot of good players going over there. You've got Alzer, there's an outstanding DB right there, and I believe he has committed to, San Angelo, if I remember correctly. But he's committed to others and decommitted and committed to.
That seems the way it is these days with
right.
social media. I'm like, I'm proud to commit, and then I'm going to decommit.
Right, and decommit. But, I know his family, great family over there, and they still got another young man that is yet to come up. And so he's the youngest Alzer, Munir Alzer, and you may hear that name in the next few years. Come up, but Cedar Park is going to be doing well this year. So, looking for them to bounce back from a couple of disappointing losses that they took on the chin last year against Hutto. As Todd Robison mentioned earlier, they finally got one away from Cedar Park, and I know at Rouse with Josh Mann, Cedar Park has always been the bugaboo.
And Georgetown had opportunities with Cedar Park as of late, the past 2 years actually, and Cedar Park still always found a way to eke out that win. And it's, if you're a Georgetown guy like me, you're saying, when is the curse going to be lifted of Georgetown losing to Cedar Park? And I'm not saying that in a negative way. That speaks high volumes of Carl Absek and what he's done this year. Ryder Hernandez will return as quarterback. Over 2,500 yards, I believe, last year through the air. 25-plus touchdowns. I don't have a football. This is the GOAT of St. Edward's University. This is Ryder Hernandez. Whoosh. That's what he's going to do this season, is just light it up on the field, man. We'll see what happens.
Well,
Michael.
They're returning 12 starters from last year's outing, and they're bringing back 7 offensive starters and 5 defensive starters. So the fall off is not going to be much, and if there's any at all, they're going to step it up. And that Black Rain defense of Cedar Park is going to rise up and make things happen in that district. So it's going to be a very tight district right here in District 11 5A. Georgetown is definitely going to have their hands full with Coach Griffin coming on board for his first year. So what a tough district to be in, and replacing a storied coach in Jason Dean.
One thing that we're not going to see anymore is the Battle of the San Gabriel, Georgetown, and Eastview, and that's something that that I'm going to miss here in 11-5A with the realignment, of course, and Eastview. It's tough because that became a really awesome rivalry.
Right, and it may come back.
And it may come back, yeah.
Take into consideration that Georgetown is exploding. I mean, growth is all over Georgetown. And it won't be long before Georgetown and Leander are going to be bumping into each other. It's just that much growth is coming north from Leander up Ronald Reagan and out toward 2243 and 29. High school number 7 in Leander ISD, it will be built just south of Highway 29 there off of Ronald Reagan. And as Chuck Cracy mentioned earlier, Glenn and Rouse pulling population away from Leander High School as they opened. Well, the same thing has happened to Rouse as Glenn opened. A lot of their student population ended up going to Glenn. And when high school number 7 opens up, it's going to pull even more away from Rouse. So just because of the growth of that area, I think you're going to see, as you mentioned, high school number 3.
Yeah, I think within the next 10 years, probably off Ronald Reagan.
It's probably going to be sooner than that when that high school eventually opens up. Just outstanding football in the Austin Syntax area.
Well, I'm excited, to see what happens because, of course, the redistricting last year, now we'll play another year, and then we'll do it all over again. And so I'm wondering what's going to happen after this, and I don't want to look – we're not even through this season yet, but we are – since it's every 2 years, we are technically halfway through the redistricting year.
Well, yeah.
What's going to happen next year?
The realignment will take place after the first of the year. So in 2020 is when the realignment will actually take place. And so we'll know probably by baseball season when it gets into about district. We'll probably know what next year's districts are going to be.
Well, Michael, appreciate you. Appreciate all of our awesome viewers here on YouTube. And, hey, by the way, during any of these shows, now we're about to sign off, but write down this number, save it in your phones. We'll have the SHN fan line open at 512-522-9105. Again, that number, 512-522-9105. Save that number. You can text us. And if you want to call in, text us first. Let us know your name and what you'd like to talk about so we can kind of screen that before we put you on. And then we'll call you back after you text us. That's the way we'll handle that. But write that number down. Save it for next time. Again, it's 512-522-9105. And we will definitely have you in next Wednesday. Now, I know, Michael, I'd love to have you every Wednesday. I know you can't be here all the time. But, again, thank you for being here tonight. And what an awesome season we are on the way for. Next time I'm going to get started at 8 instead of 9:30. So, Michael, final thoughts, man.
Look forward to the football season. This is what we've looked forward to since baseball ended, was getting this started. And Just thankful to be a part of it. Looking forward to diving into these games and seeing Texas high school football at its best here in this area and on SHN Sports.
Well, I was about to sign off, but I did have one other person that I may quickly bring on the phone if he's available. I don't know if he's working yet.
All right.
So, I'm just waiting to get a text message back. I was going to save it for next week, but I was like, you know what? If he's available, I'd love to talk to him. We've got quite a few viewers on the stream, and I will give him just a couple of seconds. But, yeah, you guys will be at Eastview starting out with some pretty good ambition this year under Coach Feacock.
Oh yeah, you've got some returning players that are coming back and some outstanding players. And I wrote a few notes here. Quarterback Jackson Colson will be a senior. He's 5'9", 175. He runs a 4.740. Passed for 1,957 yards, 23 touchdowns. Running back Isaiah Quentin Jackson, a junior. He's 5'8", 180, runs a 4.640. And this is the thing about this young man, Rob. He is a David Campbell's Texas football top 100 selection and should definitely see more carries this season. And you're really not going to see that much of a fall off from Zion Hester's graduation with Isaiah Quentin Jackson stepping in. You got a defensive back, senior DK Little, 6'3", 180. 4.540. Man. He had 72 tackles. He's an impact player on defense, but Snoop and the fine folks over at Fanstand listed him also as a wide receiver. So maybe some of those changes that Coach Feacock is making over there and having some two-way players, and that's not foreign to Eastview. They've had some two-way players over the years stand out, and one we mentioned earlier with Apollos Hester, another outstanding Eastview alum. Wide receiver Connor Cooley, offensive lineman Ethan Holan, Cole Smith, McKinley McLaughlin, defensive lineman Roland Hines, and defensive back Dalton Love. And they have a sophomore that's coming up, wide receiver, defensive back Trayvon Allen. 5'9", 165, runs a 4.740. He started on an unbeaten JV team and looks to make a varsity impact this fall. Patriots look to improve over last year's finish with an improved offensive line play from Holan, Smith, and McLaughlin. And that should free up Colson to shred some defenses with his arm and a wide receiving core that is going to be tough in the district. So looking for some great things happening there. With Little, Love, and Hines anchoring the Patriot defense, they're also going to be hard to reckon with on the defensive side. Patriots will get strong tested this Friday evening as they will visit the 6A Leander Lions at AC Bible Stadium in Leander. And then they will start next week. They will face the Westwood Warriors at the Kelly Rees Athletic Complex, better known as the Palace. And the thing with them, they only have 4 home games this season, Rob, where they will play at Georgetown Athletic Complex. And their first game there will be against New Braunfels Canyon, where that will be the homecoming game.
Wow.
It will be their first home game of the season.
So it's going to happen quick then.
It's going to happen quick.
Awesome.
So I'm sure all the order forms have all been taken care of and getting the mums and everything that goes along with the homecoming dance and the homecoming events that go along, and exciting things going on with Coach Feacock over there and his staff at Eastview High School.
It's what I've always said. As long as you've known me, you've probably heard me say it. You have to love the mamas. The mamas do so much. So thank you, mamas, for all that you do this upcoming football season.
All the mums, all the garters that are made. Garters wasn't a thing. And when I was in high school, maybe they were in style when you were going through, but when I was going through, there was no such thing. It was all about the girl and all about the moms and the homecoming dance and all of that.
It's about the mamas. We love you, mamas. All you mamas, you do such good work.
My wife took extreme pride in making the garters for our boys each year they were at Rouse. And so we've got several of them hanging up in our closet.
Well, we need to thank your mama, your beautiful wife. Thank you for, I got to say, tell her thank you for letting you hang out over here tonight, Michael. We don't get too rowdy.
She's all glad for me to be able to get out and do this. So.
Well, real quick, I know we were going to sign off, but we wanted to get another special person on the line, someone that means a tremendous amount to us here, the SHN family, Mr. David England, the first responder, Georgetown Fire Department. David, how you doing, buddy?
Well, you ask Kelly Duvall, he's going to say second responder, right?
Yeah, that's right. David, how you doing, partner?
I'm doing well, Rob. Thanks for having me on the show. You know, it's up watching tonight, and it's a great show that you and Michael are putting on tonight.
Yeah, we just kind of, we freestyled it. We showed up and said, what are we going to talk about? No, we actually had a few things we were going to plan. But, man, appreciate you, David. We had some folks talking about Cedar Park earlier. And, again, Mr. Larry Reynolds was wanting to know a little bit about Georgetown. Now, you have been to some of these early scrimmages with the Eagles. David, talk about what you're seeing so far under new head coach Chuck Griffin here in Georgetown.
Yeah, Rob, Coach Chuck Griffin gave Kelly Duvall and I access to the program, a little sneak peek, and we were able to come up to some of the practices during two-a-days. And, you always wonder from year to year, what's going to happen. The last 3 years, that a team couple years back, few years back, they went one deep in the playoffs, and then a couple years ago they went two deep in the playoffs, and people would argue that those are probably some of the better teams that have come through in a while besides our 2012 team. And then last year we go three deep with a team that we really didn't know that, would be able to do that. And, of course, that's all, the kids and the coaching staff and all that. But hats off to Coach Griffin for letting us come hang out. And it was really fun to see the kids there. They were having fun. Of course, it was early in the two-a-days, but it seems pretty lighthearted but serious. They seem pretty loose and enjoying themselves. As far as what we're seeing of course, we'll start with the special teams. We've got a returning kicker, Diaz. And last time Diaz went to Hutto, he became the star of the game. It went to overtime. We ended up winning that game. So we've got another senior kicker, Diaz, who's related to him, and we'll be going to Hutto this year. So I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. But special teams is looking good. But offense, they're looking at Jordan Oldorp has been named a starter. He's a junior, and he's spreading the ball around really well in practice. And he's able to spread the ball around to an amazing core of wide receivers coached by Longhorn legend Mike Adams. Coach Griffin was able to bring him into the program this year, and that was a big pickup because it's been a lot of fun watching him coach up these wide receivers. And boy, do they have a stable of wide receivers with Isaiah Fillmore, who's being recruited out of Florida. You've got Corey Coleman, Cade Lachlan, and a new youngster, Jacob Trussell, that's transferred in from Florence, and he's huge, 6'6", 205. So he's got a lot of tall, big targets that have put in a lot of off-season work. And then we have to talk about the running back returning. He's been playing 3 years now at the varsity level, R.J. Moreno. And I expect him to be like Coach Griffin was telling Kelly Duvall the other day in his interview. He's going to be the workhorse. He's going to carry the load, and I would love to see him, have 1,000 to 1,500 yard season. And I think he could do it. And he's going to be highly recruited. He got another offer this week as well. The offensive line is anchored by our center, Alex Steele, highly intelligent, tough offensive lineman. And so there's a lot of experience there at the most important position on the offensive line. Defensively, I think it all starts with Taylor Beal, that linebacker in the middle. He was an explosive, high-energy linebacker for us last year, and he's returning. We've got Saul De La Rosa. You've got Taco Williams, one of the corners. And then I think on the line, everybody's going to be pleasantly surprised when Mr. Colby Cummings introduces himself to the quarterbacks in the backfield. He's going to be a powerful force coming around the corner along with Braden Hargrove. And they're going to be eating lunch in the backfield quite a bit this season. So it's looking good. I'm excited. I think Georgetown is going to. I think being picked fourth in the district is accurate, if not an understatement. I think they could very well be higher than that in district. So
now you've been at some of the scrimmages, as I talked about earlier. Coach Dean has left such a great legacy. Man, what an awesome coach, and we are so blessed to continue to have Coach Dean as the AD, of course, here at Georgetown now. But, of course, with every coach, there's kind of a new wave, if you will, or a new sense of urgency. Can you talk a little bit just about maybe some of the and nothing on Coach Dean, of course, by any means, but, you have a new coach, so there's going to be new things. Can you talk about maybe some of the new feelings that you're seeing out there from some of these returning kids?
There's a lot of dancing. It just looks like they're having fun, and Kelly can echo this as well. And we commented about it just sitting there watching the practices, that they look loose. They look like they're having fun. They're serious. They're getting the job done. They're busy, but they're enjoying themselves. And it just seems to be a little bit of a different feel. Of course, now I wasn't able to visit practice very much this last week due to work, but I'm sure they were it might have been getting yelled at a little bit more as the practices went on. And early on when we were there last week, Coach Griffin was like, well, this is just kind of, not as terribly serious. I think they were just kind of getting them back in the routine. But to me, it just felt it was a different vibe. But so that I think it just seemed a lot more relaxed, but still serious. The kids were having fun. They were dancing. Emily's got a video of them on the fan stand, them kind of having a dance off, which is pretty cool. So, and another individual I might want to mention is they really, the offensive coordinator really does have just a ton of quarterbacks. They've got a lot of depth at quarterbacks. They've got Jackson Tingley, who's a senior, and Jacob Ramos is also a senior, and they're in there battling for it as well. But then you've also got a sophomore, Darshan Herman, who his older brother, Chandler Herman, was quarterback a few years ago. And he's a big-bodied quarterback that is coming along, and they could very well be throwing him in the mix in some plays. So it's going to be exciting to see. I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to be looking for. If you're a Georgetown Eagle fan, you got to come to the games. You got to tell all your neighbors, get to the games. Come out and have fun. That's where everybody should be on a Friday night, is under the lights somewhere.
What do they say? Get your neighbors, get your kids, get everybody. You get to the game. Leave your pets at home, though. We don't allow any pets in there, so they'll be all right.
That's right.
Man. Well,
and
David,
don't worry. There's plenty of room and seating for 12,400 at Georgetown. So.
Wow, that is phenomenal. The stadium there, facilities, and I don't know yet, and I don't want to misspeak, but I don't want to give it away. But there, and David, you may know what I'm talking about. Don't give it away, but there may be some new changes at GISD Athletic Complex as far as facilities go. That will leave you lingering. Don't say what it is, David, if you know, because I was told not to. But, folks, you definitely want to be at the stadium. Let me just say that.
Right. And come by and see us Friday night. We'll be up there hanging out at the scrimmage. And then we'll see everybody at the Taco Shack Bowl. So I'll be down there helping out as well.
Awesome. So, David, you'll be on the camera again. As I told Chuck and so many others tonight, we appreciate sincerely all of the dedication, the hard work that you do. Tell your wife we appreciate her for letting you come out and do what you love on football season. And then, of course, I wanted you to have an opportunity to plug Emily, your daughter, Emily England, a senior with FanStan. Talk about her, man. She has done such a wonderful job representing Georgetown through FanStan.
Rob, Joy and I couldn't be more proud of Emily and what she's done. She started out as a freshman, and her first job was to interview Bo Corrales, and he was a big senior heading out to North Carolina.
Yeah, talking about him, he's on the Tyler Rose Award watch list. We were just talking about that. Yeah. Yeah,
so she knocked it out of the park her sophomore year, and then again her junior year. And FanStan is everything to her. She just absolutely loves the opportunity that she's been given by Snoop Daniel and the fine folks over at Fan Stand. And as parents, we're just absolutely so fortunate that she was able to do that, and I highly recommend it. Any parents out there that are looking, for their kids to get involved in something really special, Fan Stand is amazing. The coaches have been nothing but extremely kind to her, both Coach Dean, Coach Griffin, Coach Foster. Let me give Coach Foster a quick plug. Coach Foster has a fan for life in the England household. They went all the way to state. He gave Emily unparalleled access to the team and be able to showcase these young students. And he had just lost the state title game. And Emily went up to give him a hug and say bye and all that. And he said, "Hang on, girls." And he asked Sue Ellen and Emily, "Come here." And he went to his backpack in the dugout and got a UIL medal and for each of the girls. And he didn't have to do that. And he has such a big heart and is such a thoughtful gentleman. And he did that for our daughter and Sue Ellen. And so I got a shout out to Coach Foster and Coach Dean. Thank you, Coach Dean, for everything that he has done for Emily over the years and will continue to do as athletic director. And really looking forward to Emily being able to work with Coach Griffin and his staff. And she's having a blast. I think one of her favorites is obviously Coach Bond is, I think, her favorite coach, but she's really beginning to enjoy hanging out with Coach Adams.
Well, David, in the words of Coach Dean, you doggone right.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that was a memorable interview. One of my best, probably the only good interview I've ever had. But
well, just a heads up, Coach Griffin is totally okay with the interviews continuing. Coach Dean had told us you're not going to miss a beat, and we've already seen that. Coach Griffin, just a tremendous asset to the Georgetown community, David, as you know.
Now, I've got a question for you, David. When you introduced yourself to Coach Griffin, did you tell him that you were Doppler Dave?
I don't know. I might have. I can't remember. It was a very quick conversation. It was at spring practice. First time I got to meet him, and super nice guy, and just I think a really, really good fit. Bringing him back. I know Kelly was saying when he got the chance to visit with him that he's so happy to be home, and his wife is very happy to be home as well. And he's got his family back here in Georgetown, and there's a connection there between Coach Griffin, Coach Dean, and Coach Blue up in Abilene. So it's unique. I was doing a little more reading up on it today and talking about the connection and how everybody's moved around and stuff. But super glad to have him in town. I think it's a really good fit for Georgetown, and Georgetown is in good hands with Coach Dean and Coach Griffin.
Well,
and Coach Vieira.
Yeah, we're excited about, Coach Vieira now. Of course, I know we're talking football, but now, talking baseball. Coach Vieira is now the Georgetown head baseball coach, so thankful about that. Did you see earlier on the screen, I know you're talking to us, did you see how I put first responder up there?
I did not.
So I
had to switch over to the phone, so I missed the video of it.
You missed it, and I put first responder up there. What advice do you have for former police officer of Georgetown, Texas, Kelly Duvall? David, I have to ask you that.
Study harder so you can make it through the fire academy.
Oh my goodness.
No, man. So Kelly Duvall is the one that got me into all this stuff. I always went to all the football games and drug Emily out there as a kid. She was my travel buddy. But Kelly Duvall, he was like, "You got to join the Booster Club." And so I started helping out with the Booster Club and the inflatable and all this, that, and the other. And that's when I started bugging you and Matt Leishman, saying if you'd ever need any help. So that's kind of how I got into it. But I love Kelly Duvall. That guy is he and I were we were the loudest in the stadium, and it was so fun on Friday nights. You could always find Kelly because you could hear him across the entire football field. So he takes heckling to a new art form. It's amazing.
David, do you have your phone with you, or do you see the stream right now? We just wanted to give you a little love here tonight on the show before we sign off.
God, I don't know if I can switch over. I might lose the phone call.
Yeah, we don't want to lose you, but you'll like it. There's a little weather radar there on the screen, and it says Doppler.
Oh
Dave,
boy!
So,
Well, we'll continue with the forecast as long as you need it.
Well, David, appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking time to chat with us. And, on any time you want to chat in, of course, you're more than welcome to. As we talk not just Georgetown football, but Central Texas football. David, as well as I do, the passion and the heart that we have for these kids here in Central Texas. And now just not through Central Texas, but across quite literally the entire United States as more and more folks are joining the SHN family. What a great time to really be part of something special with these kids and to help get them and bring them exposure.
It really is. It's an honor because there's so many families that might have somebody deployed or somebody in another town or another state that can't hear their kid. And you've got a lot of kids that are getting recruited, but then you've got youngsters that may never suit up again. This may be their last game they ever play in high school, and we get to cover it for them and archive it on YouTube, and they get to come back later and see it and show it to their kids and stuff. So it's just an honor to be able to be, doing this and appreciate everything that you and Carl Schoening have built here with SHN Sports.
You better believe it. You doggone right, Dave. So thank you for that, man. Well, David England, appreciate you. And before we let you go, I also wanted to say thank you for your service to the community through the Georgetown Fire Department. Man, you've been with GFD for how long, man?
22 years.
Wow, 22 years. You're almost vested, right? You just got a few more to go,
my
friend.
Yeah,
awesome.
I've still got a youngster fixing to go into middle school, so I'll be here a little bit longer.
Awesome, man. Well, keep it up. David England here with SHN Sports. Doppler Dave, a.k.a. First Responder, a.k.a. I'm not afraid to crawl on top of press boxes or dugouts to get the best camera angle. We appreciate you, Dave. And hey, real quick, too, your sister is going to be doing a little bit of writing as well, I understand, here with SHN. So I'm excited to meet her as well, dude.
Absolutely. Tia England Miller is going to be out there at the Taco Shack Bowl writing a article for SHN Sports, and she's a former editor for Manor Messenger, and she's really she's where I'm OCD about a lot of stuff. Her OCD is English and writing and getting it right. So she's gonna be able to add, and she just loves Friday Night Football. She grew up in Manor and in Texas, and she's got that passion like we all do for sports, and so it's going to be fun having her out there, getting her on the sideline, and getting her perspective on the Taco Shack Bowl.
Awesome. Well, Dave, appreciate you, man. Nathan Height is in here in the studio. He's just hanging out, so I'm sure Nathan saying hello as well. So Nathan's back there hanging out with us tonight, man, and so I didn't want to leave him out. David, we appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob.
All right, have a good night. God bless you. What a great man. We talk about, Michael, as we sign off, it literally takes everyone working together to make something special. And what we have tried to do here at SHN, I've always said we've got to surround ourselves and build a culture of people who want to be part of something special. And the mission, as Chuck pointed out earlier, the mission to help empower schools and organizations to promote their student athletes and events. That resonates the same today that it did on day one when Carl and I were at Gumbo's writing literally, not copying Herb Kelleher on a napkin, HSN Sports. And the lady next to me goes, "Oh, the Home Shopping Network." And so we flipped it to SHN, and that's how we got started, man. But, Michael, you've been a big part of all that we do here on SHN. Joshua Harris, who's not here tonight, but with the Oak Ridge Disciple House, all of our advertising partners, Ricky Poe, Georgetown Jewelry, Nathan Height, who helps out so much. Man, we have got some great things happening this fall, and like I said, most importantly, to help promote these kids.
Oh, absolutely. Second to none. Second to none. I've had some exposure to some of the other broadcast networks around the area. The professionalism at SHN and the family atmosphere, people that have the same objective, it's just second to none.
We appreciate that. You gotta wake up every day and be thankful for where you're at, and not, you can be thankful for where you're at and help get to the next point. We've all got so much to be thankful for, and I've got to wake up and remind myself that every day, Michael. Now I'm not going to keep yakking because it'll turn into an inspirational 5-hour talk. So.
Right.
Michael, final thoughts before we sign off, partner.
Friday Night Lights.
That's it.
That's it, buddy. It's here. It starts next week for the real thing. The regular season starts, the non-district portion. of the season will start, and scrimmages this week. We've seen all the two-a-day footage and all that stuff going on that has really got the juices flowing and pumping to get this thing started, and it will start for real starting next Friday.
Just get it going like this. If you see me on the video, it releases endorphins.
It releases
just
those
get
endorphins.
It going.
You know, the Chuck Crazy Go Lions.
Well, friends, thank you all for joining us. I did want to remind you, hit that subscribe button. Hey, do you like our new monitors back here behind us? Boy, we've we put in some glass back here, some monitors, and what's cool is every show we'll probably put in a new wall back here, Michael.
Yeah,
just kidding. That's the power of the green.
Thing about
the green screen. So, I did want to remind before we sign off, make sure to be part of the SHN Football Friday program. This is a 6-hour jam-packed video program that will take place every week during football season this fall. Steven Stun along with Justin Simmons, they're both co-hosting that show right here out of the Georgetown Jewelry Broadcast Studio. We'll have scoreboard updates every 30 minutes from Grand Endeavor Homes. We want to thank Jimmy Jacobs and all of his staff at Grand Endeavor Homes for being that scoreboard update. So the cool thing about this show, if you are at the games, which many of you will be, please tag your content on social media with hashtag, I don't know how you do that like this, but hashtag
or pound sign
SHN Football Friday. Just remember pound sign SHN Football Friday. So make sure that you send that content. You can be part of the show. It will take place every Friday this fall. We're still going to promote our good friends at Fan Stand as well. We want to have some reciprocation, and of course, we're not trying to take anything away from what those guys do, but we just wanted to have another outlet for folks that can actually take video. If you're at the game, send us video, send us pictures. We'll mention you on air. We'll go through Twitter. We'll go through Instagram. You can be part of that show. Again, it's hashtag or pound sign SHN Football Friday. Michael, God bless you, man. What a fun night.
Yes, sir.
We stayed on longer than we thought. Now we're signing off. Friends, as I end every broadcast, reminding you tonight that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. For Michael Francis, Nathan Height, and all of our wonderful, amazing SHN family, I'm Rob Hipp. Good night, and God bless from the Georgetown Jewelry Broadcast Studio. See you next week, friends.